Oh wait, we've got to do tritones. Good morning, singers. Laura here with another weekly warm-up where I share clear, fun voice education to help you enjoy your singing even more. Now, every summer, I like to sort of take stock of how the previous singing season went and think about ways that I can work over the summer when I have a little bit less structure in my schedule to make the next season even more enjoyable. And so this is a great time to work on vocal skills. It's a great time to work on sight reading skills. And I know that those things are also at the top of your lists when you're thinking about how to use your summer to really get ready for next season. So today I'm sharing with you a little cheat sheet that I've made on interval mnemonics. We're going to talk about intervals because that's a really essential part of sight reading. Now, if working on your sight reading and also your vocal skills sounds good to you this summer, I want to invite you to some workshops I'll be having on Tuesday evenings starting at the end of July. I'll have more information at the end of the video and also in the description box, so please check it out. So intervals are just how far apart two notes are in terms of pitch. There really are sort of two ways of thinking about it for singers. First, there's identifying them on the page. So as you're working on your basic sight reading, it's sort of looking at if you see a note on one line and then the next note is on the next line up, those two are going to be a third apart, and then you're going to have to figure out, are they a minor third or a major third based on either the key signature or where they are in the staff. So that is phase one of intervallic learning, is what do they look like so that you can identify them as you look at a piece of music. The second phase, though, and this is where the mnemonics really come into play, is that for singers, we then have to say, okay, it's a sixth. What does that sound like? How do I actually sing it? And this can be a real stumbling block for so many singers, is that you kind of build your theory skills to the point where you can identify the notes on the page, but then kind of making sounds out of that is frustrating. So one common technique, and that's what I'm going to share with you today, is to use mnemonics. So really familiar tunes that contain the intervals and that will sort of instantly remind you, this is what a fourth sounds like. Here comes the bride, doo doo. That's a perfect fourth. It sticks in my mind and many of your minds. It's the original interval mnemonic, and today I want to show you some other ones. So here's the little chart. If you print it and you have a color printer, it's going to look even cuter. And this is going to have, for every interval, it'll have the name, how many half steps it contains, what it might look like on the page, and then if I know them, mnemonics for ascending and descending. A lot of the websites that you'll find for this won't have descending references. And as you can see, I don't have all of them because they're a little harder to come by. But the truth is, as you're reading music, you're going to get as many descending intervals as ascending. So it's good to kind of have these on hand should they come up. I'm going to walk you through each of these, but I do want to suggest before you do that you really use this with caution. This is not a practice document that I want you to take and work on these in terms of learning songs that you don't already know. So I have two mnemonics here that refer to the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow. If you did not grow up watching The Wizard of Oz and you don't know that song, then don't watch the movie and learn the song for the purpose of using this mnemonic in the future. Just use a different mnemonic. Or there will be some intervals that you don't have a mnemonic for. That's okay. So let's get into the intervals. First, we're going to do the minor second. That's just one half step. And the universal mnemonic for that is the theme from Jaws. Da-dun, 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 right? And that is a wonderful one because it really sticks in the mind. Almost everybody remembers that song. But also, because it goes up and down, you can have both the ascending and the descending sound right in your mind. So you'll find that in places where I could think of a song that did that, where it alternates between pitches, that's gold, because you get two for the price of one. Then we have the major second. What I've put on the sheet is Happy Birthday to You, dun da da, happy birthday, and that one also goes down, happy birthday. That's an ascending and descending major second. You can also think, Mary had a little lamb. That's major seconds up and down on each of those pitches. So whichever one of those works. Also, you might not need a mnemonic for your major and minor seconds, and so that's fine. Only use these again if you need them. Now we have the minor thirds. Now these, I think it is really helpful to have a mnemonic because sometimes in the heat of the moment, it's a little hard to discern what does a major or a minor third sound like. So the minor third, what I've put on here is from Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Someday I'll wish upon a star. That's great. It's a minor third that goes up and down, very handy. But you might also, especially if you have young children or grandchildren, you might be very familiar with the sound. Na, 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 na. That is a minor third. And that is one that comes to mind quite often for me because my children are just at that teasing age. And so I hear that all the time. Now, major third, and this one is going to have 4 half steps in it. This one, ascending, a great one is, oh, when the saints do D. That's a great ascending one. And from descending, I usually use ba-ba-ba-bum, the beginning of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. That's a major third descending. So next is fourths. There are not major and minor fourths. There are also not major and minor fifths. We call both of these intervals perfect. So there's only one variety of fourths and fifths, unless you get kind of deeper in the weeds. And the universal ascending fourth mnemonic is, here comes the bride. That's a great one. For me, this is one of the ones that just never fails me. I can always recall it instantly. And then for the descending fourth, this, it's interesting. I was about to say this really ages me or dates me, but the fact is this song was well before my time even. It is the theme from the movie Born Free. So I had never seen this movie. It was before my time. I haven't even really listened to the whole song, but I was taught this as an interval mnemonic years ago. Born free as the wind blows. If that sticks in your mind, I don't know, it was somehow instantly catchy for me and I can recall it as a descending fourth. So that's one, proceed with caution. You might not know that song, but if you do know it, that is a descending fourth. So between a perfect fourth and a perfect fifth is the tritone. This is that famous devil's interval. It kind of sounds like you can imagine an old Hollywood villain twirling his mustache. And this is the most common mnemonic for this is Maria, bum, bum. This is one where if that instantly comes to mind for you, great. But if I'm sort of in the middle of sight reading something, that's not a tune that's going to come so perfectly to mind every time for me. I might think Maria and then guess like a minor sixth instead. So use that one if you can. It's a hard interval. There's not much more to be said about it. And I don't have a descending suggestion for that either. But if you have one, please put it in the comments below. We'd all be so grateful. Okay, ascending and descending fifths. These ones are really fun. So the ascending fifth is Star Wars, beautiful Star Wars. I mean, I know those are not the words, but this main Star Wars theme. And descending is Flintstones, meet the Flintstones. So I love those. Okay, love story theme. Again, this is from a movie that was slightly maybe before my time, maybe before your time, but it is such a catchy tune and it goes up and down. Where do I begin to tell the story of how great a love can be? I love that song actually. So just remember that beginning part, ba bum 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 bum. That is a minor sixth. It'll work for you every time. Major sixth, a lot of folks use My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. Now that is a major sixth, but for those of you who might not know that song, you can also use the NBC. That is also a major sixth. So for the next few, we don't have descending intervals. And again, that's because although those intervals come up in music all the time, and I'm sure that there are really popular songs that contain descending minor sevenths and descending major sevenths, there's nothing that comes so instantly to mind for me that I would suggest that you use it as a reference. But for ascending, the minor seventh would be There's a place for us. Again, another West Side Story. You can always trust Lenny to give us those wacky intervals, the ascending tritone and the ascending minor seventh. Ascending major seventh, for all of you 80s or early 90s kids, we've got take on me. That one can help you with both the ascending major seventh or the octave. And then the other one for the octave is, of course, somewhere over the rainbow. That's a really great one for that octave. Another thing I'll say about this is that although it can be helpful to really have a few of these interval mnemonics up your sleeve, there really is no substitute for reading music in context. So these are kind of helpful in a short-term sense, but really the very best thing you can do to improve your sight reading is to really learn how, and it's very simple, I've done a simple video of it, I'll put a card, but to learn how to identify your key signatures and really get yourself in the context of that key, maybe sing a scale in that key, or just think in terms of that key as you begin to read. I don't want you to be kind of finding your way from one step to the next step when you could just see the whole map at a glance, and that really is what thinking in the context of the key will do for you. If you would like to work with me to really use these tools in the best possible way, maybe get a little practice doing that contextual music reading, working on rhythm, and also working on all the vocal skills you might want to grow for the coming season, I have a series of workshops coming up and I would really love to see you there. These are going to be 4 Tuesdays. I'll put some information up here. 4 Tuesdays at the end of July and beginning of August. So well in time for you to get ready for your re-audition or just to prepare for the coming season. And in each one of these sessions, they'll all be on Zoom, and we're going to cover a full vocal warm-up really to help you extend your range, connect to your breath, reduce vocal tension. Then we're going to spend some time working on music reading, and we're going to make a practice plan for each week. So I hope that this is helpful to you. We're going to really tackle all the vocal, musical, and sort of mental or practice skills that you'll need to be more successful and have more fun in the coming year. Thank you for practicing. Thank you for watching. If you liked this, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next Thursday.